Hi Flosstube, I'm Kim Chamberlain, the Canal Town Stitcher, and I am here tonight with another update video for you, weekly update video. I apologize in advance for the reflection that you're seeing on my glasses, so if that's bothering you, I apologize. Today is Monday, August 21st, and it was my first day back to work. Went really well, I think. I mean, I've been doing this for a while now, so I have my routines down. I already had gone in a couple times and set up my classroom. Like, I love a good classroom setup video, but I have to think to myself, these teachers that are setting up something new every single year, they're beautiful, they come out great, but I just do not have the energy for that. So it looks very much the same as it did last year. It's fine. I'm teaching just ELA and social studies this year, which is new for me. I've never taught just ELA or social studies. I taught math and science before. When we departmentalized, I teach 4th grade, and so this is a new start, like a new beginning, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of excited about it. The kids don't start back until next week. On my birthday, actually. Who wants to have the first day of school be on their birthday? Not me, but I don't have a choice. That's when it is. So the kids are finishing up their summer vacation this week. Grace is done with band camp, so that's been a nice change, although Scouts has started up now, so Monday nights we have Scouts. But other than that, the kids they're doing great. They're just getting ready for the next week. They're living their best life for the next few days until school starts again. And, we're just kind of getting back into that, routine of, daily living when you're in school. I have some great new starts. I want to advertise some of my Stitch With Me videos. If you have been able to catch up with me while I stitch, that's been awesome. I really appreciate all of you that watch. Anybody that hits like and subscribe, it gets my channel out there so that I can reach new people and meet new people. My goal with this channel is really just to share my cross stitch and my stitching, and I also crochet and sometimes quilt. I joined 2 new Facebook groups this week, so I'm going to do a little shout out to them. The first one is, let me pull up the names. One is the Tar Heel Stitchers, and the other one is North Carolina Stitchers. So those 2 groups I joined, and it's been nice to see other North Carolina Stitchers. I've seen a couple of other people from my area. I live out just outside of Jacksonville. Actually, my address is a Jacksonville address, but we actually live really close to Richlands, North Carolina, so that's really where I am. And so I would love to get together with Stitchers that are living close into that community. There's a beautiful park, a couple beautiful parks, and the library and stuff. I feel like we could, set up a place pretty easily. Plus Jacksonville is filled with hotels and stuff too. So if we got enough people together, we could always rent a room and, stitch for a day or 2 days or whatever. I'm sure we could figure it out, but that would be really nice, is to, meet some people that are stitching too, and maybe just having an afternoon of it, I guess. So I talked about school starting. I never have any notes. I don't iron anything. I apologize to those of you that like ironing. I don't have time for that. We went over the 2 groups that I joined for Facebook. Yeah, I think that's it. I had, my Stitch With Me videos. So I have started 2 new projects this week. One, I did a Start With Me on my on my channel, so you'll see that start. And then the other one I started because I couldn't wait to start it. And then we'll go over plans and whip go and what I am. Oh, and I have a finish. I have 2 finishes. So not FFOs, but 2 finishes to show you tonight too. So that's, you know, I think a good chunk for this video. So first, let's start with the finishes. So I have finished this about 2.5 weeks ago, and I did post it on Instagram, which, by the way, I am terrible about mentioning my Instagram, but it is kimberly.chamberlain.14. I'll put it down below if you want to check me out. I don't post on Instagram all the time, but I only post stitching there unless I forget to click the box on Facebook that says don't send this to Instagram too. But for the most part, I put my stitching on Instagram, and then my family stuff goes on Facebook. So every now and then you'll see a post about my family on Instagram, but I try to keep them a little bit more separated. So I did show this already on Instagram, and I showed it in my, I talked about it in my whip parade, and I'm pretty sure I showed it in my kit parade, or I talked about it. I think maybe I posted a picture of it, or I showed a picture of it maybe. Anyways, I have the actual piece right here. So this was so much fun to stitch. I almost didn't want to finish it because I wanted to keep it in my rotation because I enjoyed it that much. So this was the one and only kit that I have bought from Owl Forest Embroidery. I have bought another pattern from them and all the flosses for that, so I will be starting that probably around Christmas time. I have that. But this was a full kit, and this is Fox Forest. It's by Owl Forest Embroidery, and I finished it like around August 5th or 6th, somewhere around there. And here it is. This was incredibly fun. I loved every minute of stitching this. It's on the kit fabric with all of their flosses. Look at all of the little foxes. And all this time I was like, I'm going to put this in my classroom. I've been talking about how I was going to put it in my classroom because it is, my classroom is a woodland animal theme. So it has foxes and bears and raccoons and all of those things in it. And so I was gonna frame this and put this there. And then my husband said, you know what? I think I'd like that to be in our family room. So after you frame it, let's put it in there. And I said, okay. So it's going in the family room. Isn't it beautiful? It is absolutely stunning. And for those of you interested, this is my back. So it's not perfectly neat because I did a lot of single stitches, but it's not too bad. And I loved it. Loved it. And I'm very much looking forward to stitching another Owl Forest pattern. And I have that coming up in Christmas time. All right, so my second finish, I finished yesterday. It is Stitching with the Housewives. What's in my cup? Gobble. And here is that one. Now this one was a challenge for a couple of different reasons. It is stitched on 32 count charcoal Belfast linen by Witchelt. And I do not recommend stitching like a Stitching with the Housewives pattern necessarily on 32 count Belfast linen by Witchelt, because this is why. So you literally can see right through this linen. It made it so hard So hard. So you see this dark green right here? I had to change that color to 3362 because the 935, this by the way is in all of the called for DMCs. The 935 you couldn't see at all. When I was stitching the white, it wasn't too hard. Like, as you can see, those stitches look pretty good. Even, like, most of the stitches actually look pretty good, but it was very, very, very hard to see the holes in this fabric. So I think if I do another one of these, which I do have patterns, I have a bunch of these What's in My Cup patterns, I will do it, if I want it to be small like this on 32 count, I think I would do it on 16 count black Aida. I have stitched, stitching with the Housewives, my long makeshift wave is on 32 count even weave, and that was okay too. But this linen, I mean, obviously you can see right through it. It was very difficult to stitch on. The best time of day for me to stitch on this was like first thing in the morning when my eyes were fresh. If I tried to stitch on it at night, I could see nothing. Probably with like lights and like magnifiers it would be okay, but like if you just want to just sit and have a relaxing stitch, that this was not it. But it came out so cute and beautiful, so I love it. The pattern, there's nothing wrong with the pattern. The pattern was perfect. It was just me. All right, so those were my two finishes. Now let's talk about my two starts. So my first start, I had this all kitted up and I showed it in my kit parade, and I changed the fabric, made a decision about the fabric after. So here is the Baltimore Salt Box. Now, this I learned after looking at it very carefully and reading the directions. So it called for 28 count mushroom Lugana. So I'm like, okay, I think I have 28 count mushroom Lugana somewhere. So I went through my drawer and I didn't have it. But then, so I started looking through the other fabrics, trying to figure out what I wanted to stitch it on. And I was like, well, you know, let's go to 32 count because I really like 32 count. So let's do 32 count. So then I read the directions. Okay, so here is the directions. Here are the directions, okay? So, directions. It says right here, please note, this piece is worked over one linen thread with one strand of floss. 28 count 1 over 1. I was like, that's gonna be really small. And then I realized, as I'm looking at the picture, I'm like, oh, it is meant to be really small. Like it's in a box, not a frame. So then I had to rethink it, and I was like, I'm probably gonna run out of thread, but I don't want it to be that small. I am just not comfortable stitching 28 count 1 over 1. 25 count, maybe 1 over 1. I probably could have done that, and I do have 25 count that I probably could have used, but I decided to use 32 count, and I'm stitching it 2 over 2. So it's gonna be bigger. But you know what? I'm totally okay with it, and I love this fabric that I chose. It was in my stash, so it's 32 count Winter Moon Linen by Zweigart. The color is absolutely perfect for this. And I changed the color red. So here is my start on that. So I really love this. It is going to be beautiful. It's going to be bigger, but that's okay. So then there was one other thing that I discovered that I wasn't super happy about, but it's okay because I'm go with the flow. So with a needle and thread, these are beautiful patterns and I love them dearly. But there's one thing I really wish that they would do. They don't have to, but I really wish they would. Is put the DMC conversions for these colors on their patterns. So I had decided back when I was at Hobby House Needleworks that I was not going to get all of the called for colors. I decided not to get any of the Gentle Arts colors. That day at Hobby House Needleworks, now if anybody has been in there, if you've been in there, then you can relate to this. They are a small shop with a lot of customers. They have picked up so much wonderful, wonderful press from Flosstubers and on the internet and whatever. They were a very small operation. So the first time I ever went in there and talked to the owners and met them, it was like in November of 2020. They opened their doors during the pandemic. They were supposed to open in August of 2020 and had to push their opening back because of the pandemic. And in New York, there was a lot of closures because New York was very much about protocols for COVID. So when I went in that year, it was like November of 2020, I needed some fancy flosses because I did Cats Love Christmas from oh my goodness. I can see her in my mind. It'll come to me in a second. Anyways, I did that pattern and I needed the fancy floss for it. So it was just them. It was like husband, wife, and like, I think one of their kids might have worked there. And it was before they were like, you know, like they had exploded. So now they are really busy. Like when you go in there, and I can still have a good conversation with David. He's one of the owners. I haven't really spoken much to Kathy, like a few times, but there were so many people in there. Like it was like standing room only. And if you've ever been in there, all of their Gentle Arts are on the back wall behind their fabric cup, where they cut all their fabric. And they were swamped and they were cutting fabric. And if you've ever been in there, they have fabulous customer service. They serge every piece of fabric they sell right there. They will cut it for you, customize it, cut it for you, and serge it for you. So it's a wonderful service. But on that particular day, I didn't feel like going to the back wall to look for Gentle Arts embroidery floss. So I got the Classic Colorworks and the Weeks Dye Works because they are on a wall where that fabric is. The fabric is not there. Classic Colorworks is like on the stairs, and the Weeks is on the other side, and it's very easy to just grab what you need. So all that to say, I could have gotten the Gentle Arts. I chose not to, not because they were so busy that I didn't want to like deal with it, but morely because I had 2 kids with me that day and they wanted ice cream. And I could have stood there and spent a lot more time in there, but I had my own things going on. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm like coming down on them, because I love, love, love Hobby House Needleworks, and I would never, ever, ever, ever say anything against them because they're wonderful. And you should go there. If you can go there, please go there. They're amazing people. They opened up Hobby House Woolworks next door, so if you like to do punch needle or any kind of work with wool, felt and all that, they used to have the upstairs in their cross stitch shop, and now they have a whole separate store for that. So go there. It's wonderful. Anyways, all that to say, I wanted to do the rest in DMC just because it made it easier. So every other pattern I've ever bought has had the DMC conversion in it, and these don't. So I had to come up with it on my own, which I did without any problems. Like, I went through, I pulled it up on 123 Stitch on the free and fun thing. If you go into free and fun on 123 Stitch, they have the conversions. And I was able to find all of the conversions for the DMCs, and I was fine. I did change one color, though, because it was too orange for me. So, the tomato, the Gentle Arts tomato, it's like a dark orange on here, and like it came up as 922, and it was just too orange for me. I thought, this is not the right colors for this flag. So I changed it to 3777. So I just changed it to this color, which is like a, it's like an orangey red, I would say. Oops. But I really like this. So this is my start on this one. Okay, next up. And I am realizing, like, this is the third video in like a month that you've seen me wear this dress. And that is because I wash it every time I wear it, because it's so comfortable on the hot days that I wear it. This is the third time I've worn it in a month. I don't know. You guys are going to think, like, I was looking back at some of my older videos, and there were a couple where I was wearing, like, the same shirt over and over in every video. Now, mind you, those videos are, like, filmed weeks apart, but for some reason, I'm always wearing the same clothes when I'm filming. And I do not know why that keeps happening. I don't know why that keeps happening. Anyways, that is Baltimore Salt Box, and it is lovely. Oh, and I made this project bag 2 weekends ago. Isn't that fabric so cute? All right. Next up is my second start. Now this start is a Christmas present for my son Adam. So if he's watching, you need to stop watching right now. No more watching. And I am stitching Mario Sampler. It's by it's by Choco Coco Stitch. Choco Coco. Here, I'll show you. All right, Choco Coco Stitch. And it is this, I'll enlarge it for you, Mario Sampler. I got this on Etsy. I'm stitching this with all of the called for DMCs. I did a start with me video on this, so if you want to check that out, you can see me start it. I started here in that corner of the piece, and so far I'm stitching this on 14 count Silver Ada by Zweigert. And this is where I am. This is really, really, really fun. I think I'm having a lot of fun stitching this because it's reminded me of my childhood. But it is really fun, and I am really loving it. And I do plan to do more Stitch With Me videos that are including this, so that you guys can stitch with me as I work on it and make progress on it. But isn't it so great? I cannot wait to keep going on this. At this rate, I definitely think that this is going to be very, very doable to finish by Christmas. Okay, so that is all of my 2 starts. So now let's talk about what I stitched on this week. So I finished Gobble, so I obviously stitched on that. I worked on Mario Sampler and the Baltimore Salt Box. And the only other piece that I worked on this week is a random choice that I just chose. I just pulled it out of my closet. and it is Tonight is Halloween, and this is by Kathy Barrett. And I just felt like working on it, so I did. I worked on this for about 2 nights, and most of the morning on Saturday morning. I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Whisper Belfast linen by Zweigart, and all the called for DMCs. And so before, I just had this side here. I had all this done and all of this done, and then just this little side edge here. So I stitched this pumpkin and this whole tombstone. And then I also worked on this part here. I didn't have this done. So this is all what else I worked on. So all together, this is what I have done on this. I love stitching on this linen. I know I'm terrible. I didn't serge it or protect it, so it's a little frayed, but that's okay. Still have plenty of linen to finish up the edges. And I love this piece, and I'm gonna keep working on it. I'm keeping it out. It's gonna be in my regular rotation from now until Halloween. And we will see how much of it I can get done. Like I said, I love stitching on this linen. I love stitching on this linen. It's comfortable. I stitch this in hand. I do not use a hoop for this one. In fact, all of these that you saw tonight, this is the only one that I stitched any of it in a hoop. I did stitch a lot of this in hand though. The rest of them I stitched by hand. I stitched in hand. I like the sewing method. I was talking about the other day in my Stitch With Me video, I was talking about when I decide to use a hoop. And it really has to do with tension of the fabric for me. So like, if I'm stitching in hand, I tend to do okay with tension, but like some of my stitches don't always sit very nicely. I guess it really depends on the piece and the linen that I'm stitching on. I do stitch in hoop though for other things too, like this piece right here. I'll show you a good example of what I stitch in a hoop. This is my Emerald City, and we were going to talk about this next anyways because I'm going to do a Stitch With Me video with this in it. This is being stitched on a piece of Wichelt linen. I had the color. What color is this being stitched on? Hang on, I think that the piece is over here. It tells me. Maybe not. I had it over here last night. And you don't. Where did I put that piece? I don't know where it is at the moment. It was somewhere. It's probably like over there. Anyways. I don't know if it's platinum. It's not platinum. Anyways, it's on a piece of 32 count. It's just a lot on 32 count. So this linen, here, let me put something behind it because if I put something behind it, it's a little easier to see. This linen is uneven. So you can see there's some thick pieces and some thin pieces, and the squares are different shapes. And I need the hoop to see the holes. The long and the short of it is, on linen like this, I need the hoop. I need the tension. I need it to be tight so that I can see it really well and so that my stitches lay flat. By the way, this is my next Stitch With Me video, so if you're interested in seeing how this is coming along, you can check that out. I'm going to be filming that right after I'm done filming this. This is going to be my stitching for tonight. So that's all of my stitching for the week. Now let's talk about plans. So this is the last week and a half of August. think there's like 8, well, today's 21st. So there's 10 days left of August. And I haven't really started my August whip goals yet because I finished up some whip go goals with the Stitching with the Housewives. That was a call back in like April or May. So I finished that so I can block that off. And this month, the most wonderful feast of the year was called, and I've not worked on it yet. I mean, I did. I worked on it for maybe 30 minutes. I don't even know. Probably not even that long. So my goal this week is to make this a focus and work on this project to get my 10 hours in. So how I do whip go is I put things on 10 hours to a finish. So I figure I can work on one project for 10 hours, and that gives me a whole month to divvy out those 10 hours any way that I want. Then I don't have the pressure of like trying to meet a goal that I'm like, oh, I'm stuck working on this one because like I really have to get it all in. I don't have days like 3 days, 1 day, 2 days. No, an hour. If I can grab an hour in the morning while I'm having my coffee, or an hour at night before I go to bed, I can easily get 10 hours in a month. But I had other goals that I wanted to finish and things that I wanted to start. So that's why this got put on the back burner. So this is going to be a focus piece for this week. So if I do like 2 or 3 hours on Saturday and a couple of hours on Sunday this weekend, that's 5 hours, and then just 1 hour every other day. So I think I can manage that. The other whip go call I had for this month is Land That I Love. And I don't think I'm going to get 10 hours in on Land That I Love. I might get some in. But I stitched on that in July, so I can add some of those hours in because it wasn't a whip go call in July, and that's just how I'm playing this game. So I'm here for that. You work whip go whatever way works for you. Like, some people don't work whip go at all because they think it's too much pressure. And honestly, what I love about whip go is that it forces me to think about projects that I started that I need to work on. I put my largest projects on there simply because I need to have that time to work on it, and sometimes I need to be forced to do it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like that feeling of being forced to do something, and for me, it's not like forcing me to. It's not like, oh my goodness, like, you have to do this or else. Like, I don't. Like, if a project is called for whip go and I don't feel like working on it, I just put it aside and I say, I'll come back to that later. And usually I do. And if my whip go board is not full by the end of the year, I do not stress about that either. It is what it is. I worked on whatever I felt like working on when I wanted to work on it, and that's all that really matters. But what it forces me to do is say, oh yeah, like, I haven't really touched Land That I Love in a long time. Like, I should probably pull that out. It was called this month, so I should get that out. And then it just goes into my weekly rotation. And then when I feel like working on it, I work on it. If I don't feel like working on it, I don't. So that's just my philosophy on whip go, if that helps anybody. I don't have any other plans because it's the first week of school coming up next week, and I just simply cannot make plans that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to come to fruition. I know I'm working on the Emerald City. I know I'm working on Mario Sampler, and I know I'm working on It's the Most Wonderful Feast of the Year. I probably will pull Land That I Love out and put it in my weekly rotation, but I can't promise that in the next video you're going to see any work on it. I don't have any haul. I haven't bought anything. I very rarely buy things. It's just trying to finish what I've started. I have about 37 whips now that I've finished 2. I started 2. So I'm at really where I was for my whip parade. I finished 2, started 2, but it all washes out. It'll be fine. Everything's fine. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thank you so much for coming and spending time with me. I really appreciate all of you. Oh, and I've had some new subscribers. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Please like my video so that it gets out there. Share it if you would like to share it. I look forward to meeting you and maybe getting together at some point to stitch. And I hope you have a great week of school. If you're in school already, getting ready for school, I hope you're safe wherever you are. My sympathies really go out to all of you in Hawaii. I cannot imagine how horrible and terrible that was. We all live through challenges in our lives, and some are unimaginable. So my sympathies, sincere sympathies. If you are in California right now and you are being affected by the tropical storm, I hope that you are in a safe place. And everyone else, I hope you just have a really nice stitchy week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.